My friend, at this very moment. Yes, right now as you listen to these words, there are two versions of your future unfolding before you. In one, you are exactly where you are today, 5 years from now, perhaps a bit older, a bit more tired, still wondering when your ship will come in. In the other, you stand transformed, victorious, having achieved goals that today seem impossible, having become a person you can barely imagine. The difference between these two futures? It is not luck. It is not privilege. It is not even hard work alone. The difference, my friend, is applied faith. Let me tell you about a moment that changed the course of American industrial history. The year was 1914. A young man stood before the great Andrew Carnegie in his Pittsburgh office. Carnegie, the steel magnate who had risen from poverty to become one of the wealthiest men in the world, looked at this young man, myself, Napoleon Hill, and made an extraordinary proposition. He would introduce me to the 500 most successful men in America. He would open every door. But there was a condition. I would receive no compensation for 20 years. I would have to support myself while undertaking this mammoth research project to discover the laws of success. Now, I could have calculated the odds. I could have weighed the practicalities. I could have done what reasonable men do. I could have played it safe. But in that moment, something far more powerful than logic took hold of me. It was faith. Not the passive faith that sits in a pew on Sunday morning and hopes for heaven. No, my friend. It was applied faith, a burning, definite conviction that thrust me into immediate action. I looked Andrew Carnegie in the eye, and before 29 seconds had passed, I said, "Yes, Mr. Carnegie, I accept." Carnegie later told me that hidden behind a curtain sat a master of time psychology with a stopwatch. If I had taken more than 60 seconds to decide, the offer would have been withdrawn. Why? Because Carnegie understood what I am about to teach you today. That true faith, applied faith, compels immediate, decisive action. What I discovered in those 20 years of research, interviewing the titans of American enterprise, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, John D. Rockefeller, Theodore Roosevelt, was a principle so fundamental, so powerful, that it undergirds every single success story in human history. It is as immutable as the law of gravity, as certain as the rising of the sun, as predictable as the harvest that follows the planting of seed. This principle is applied faith. And before this presentation concludes, you will understand not merely what it is, but exactly how to harness its transformative power in your own life, starting today. Now, let us be absolutely clear about what we mean by applied faith, because this is where most men and women stumble at the very threshold of their potential greatness. Applied faith is not wishful thinking. It is not the desperate hoping of a drowning man clutching at straws. It is not the blind optimism of a fool who believes that merely wanting something will make it materialize. No, my friend. Applied faith is something far more potent, far more practical, far more rooted in the actual laws that govern human achievement. Applied faith is a deep, unshakable conviction, so powerful, so definite, so emotionally charged, that it compels you to take immediate, persistent action toward your goal as if failure were not even a possibility in the universe. Let me say that again, because this is crucial. Applied faith is belief that has been crystallized into action. You see, my friend, in the landscape of modern America, this great nation of opportunity where a penniless immigrant can build an empire, where a farm boy can become president, where a man tinkering in his garage can revolutionize industry, there is one tragedy that plays out 1,000,000 times over. It is the tragedy of the paralyzed dreamer, the man who knows what he wants, who can see his goal clearly, who perhaps even believes, in some abstract way, that he could achieve it, but who never acts, who never takes the first step, who dies with his music still locked inside him. Why? Because his faith has not been applied. Consider the farmer who stands in spring with a sack of corn seed in his hands. He believes in the principles of agriculture. He knows that seed, planted in prepared soil, watered and cultivated, will produce a harvest. But suppose he merely sits on his porch, clutching that sack, thinking positive thoughts about corn, visualizing his future harvest, believing with all his heart that corn is wonderful. Come autumn, my friend, he will starve. His belief, genuine though it may be, was never applied. It never touched soil. It never translated into the labor of planting, tending, protecting. This is the difference between mere faith and applied faith. Now contrast two men. Let us call them John and William. Both are 40 years old. Both work in the same factory. Both earn the same wage. Both have families to support. Both, if you ask them, would say they believe in the possibility of success, of financial independence, of a better life. But here is where their paths diverge. John possesses passive faith. He believes things could be better. He hopes they will be. He buys a lottery ticket and dreams. He reads success stories and feels inspired for an hour, a day. But when Monday morning comes, he punches the clock with the same resignation. He complains about the boss, about his lack of opportunities, about the economy. He tells himself he'll make a change someday. Someday when the time is right. Someday when he has more money saved. Someday when the children are older. 20 years pass, and John is 60, still punching that clock, his dreams mummified in the tomb of someday. William, on the other hand, possesses applied faith. He doesn't just believe success is possible. He believes with such burning intensity that it consumes him. He sees his goal of financial independence as clearly as he sees his own hand, and this vision compels him to act. After his factory shift ends, while John watches television, William is in his basement workshop developing his invention. When John spends Sunday afternoon in idle entertainment, William is studying, learning, improving his skills. When opportunity knocks faintly, perhaps a chance to take on a difficult project, to learn a new trade, to invest a small sum in a business venture, John hesitates and the door closes. But William acts immediately, decisively, because his applied faith has eliminated hesitation from his mental vocabulary. 20 years pass, and William has built a successful business. He has financial independence. He has provided generously for his family, not because he was luckier than John, not because he was born with greater advantages, but because his faith was applied faith, faith that manifested as daily, persistent, unstoppable action. This, my friend, is why applied faith is critical in modern America. We live in an age of unprecedented opportunity, yes, but also unprecedented distraction. 1,000 voices call for your attention. 1,000 ways to spend your time that produce nothing. The difference between those who build empires and those who live lives of quiet desperation is not intelligence, not education, not capital. It is applied faith. Now we come to the practical implementation of this principle, and I want you to listen carefully, because what I am about to share with you is the distilled wisdom of 500 successful lives. The first component of applied faith is this: you must believe in your goal. Not sort of believe. Not half believe. Not believe when circumstances are favorable and doubt when they're difficult. You must believe with absolute, unshakable, definite conviction. But Napoleon, you might be saying, how can I believe in something that hasn't happened yet? How can I believe in a goal when my current circumstances are the exact opposite of what I desire? When my bank account is empty, how can I believe I will be wealthy? When I am unknown, how can I believe I will be influential? When I have failed before, how can I believe I will succeed now? To which I reply, you have misunderstood the nature of belief. Belief is not the conclusion you reach after examining evidence. If it were, no man could ever rise above his current circumstances, because the evidence would always argue for the perpetuation of the status quo. No, my friend. Belief, true belief, the kind that moves mountains and builds empires, is a decision. It is an act of will. It is something you choose and then fortify through mental discipline. You decide to believe. Then you defend that belief against every contradictory circumstance, every naysayer, every moment of doubt, until that belief has permeated your subconscious mind so thoroughly that it begins to manifest in your physical reality. Let me give you the exact methodology, step by step. First, you must define your goal with absolute precision. Not, I want to be successful, or I want to be rich. These are not goals. They are vague wishes. Your goal must be specific, definite, measurable. Write this down. Get a pen and paper right now if you haven't already. Write, by specific date, I will have exact description of what you want. For example, by December 31st of next year, I will have earned and saved $50,000. Or, by June 1st, I will have launched my consulting business with 10 paying clients. Or, by my next birthday, I will have lost 40 pounds and will weigh 165 pounds. Do you see the difference? These goals have clarity. They have definiteness. They can be measured. There is no ambiguity, no room for your mind to wiggle out of commitment. Second, you must write down exactly why you must achieve this goal. Not why it would be nice. Why you must. What will it mean for your family, your self-respect, your future? How will your life be different? What doors will open? What person will you become? Write this in present tense, as if it has already happened. I have achieved financial independence, and because of this, my children are receiving the finest education. I walk with the confidence of a man who has kept his word to himself. I sleep soundly at night, free from the anxiety of unpaid bills. You see, my friend, belief is not conjured from thin air. It is constructed. It is built brick by brick through the process of clearly defining what you want and emotionally charging it with reasons why its achievement is inevitable and essential. Third, you must read this written statement aloud twice daily, once immediately upon waking and once just before sleep. This is non-negotiable. This is not a suggestion for when you feel like it. This is a law as certain as the law that governs the rising of the sun. When you read it, do not merely recite words. Feel them. See yourself already in possession of your goal. Engage your emotions. This is critical. Your subconscious mind, that vast reservoir of power that actually controls 95% of your behavior, does not respond to cold, intellectual ideas. It responds to emotionalized thoughts, thoughts that are charged with feeling. Let me tell you about Edwin Barnes. Perhaps you've never heard of him, but his story illustrates this principle perfectly. Mr. Barnes had a burning desire to become a business associate of Thomas Edison, not to work for Edison, but to work with him as a partner. Now, by all objective measures, this was ridiculous. Barnes was penniless. He didn't have enough money for train fare to Orange, New Jersey, where Edison's laboratory was located. He had to ride in a freight car. When he arrived at Edison's office, his appearance was against him. Shabby clothing, no credentials, no connections, no capital. But he had something far more valuable: applied faith. He believed, with unshakable conviction, that he would become Edison's business partner. He took action on that belief. He asked for an opportunity, any opportunity, and he received a menial position at a small wage. Other men in that laboratory saw Edwin Barnes as a poor, unfortunate worker. But Barnes saw himself differently. In his mind's eye, fortified by daily repetition of his goal, he was already Edison's partner. He acted with that conviction. He approached every task with the question, how would Edison's partner handle this? Years passed. Then one day, Edison had a new invention, the Ediphone dictating machine, but his salesman couldn't sell it. They didn't believe in it. They thought it wouldn't work. But Edwin Barnes believed. He asked Edison for the chance to sell it, and because Barnes's faith was so obvious, so applied, Edison gave him the opportunity. Barnes became the exclusive distributor and made a fortune. The point, my friend, is this: Barnes's external circumstances did not create his belief. His belief created his circumstances. He believed first, acted on that belief, and reality rearranged itself to match his unshakable conviction. You must do the same with your goal. Believe it first. Believe it when there is no evidence. Believe it when others mock you. Believe it when circumstances scream that it's impossible. Build that belief through the daily discipline of reading your written goal aloud with emotional intensity until it becomes the dominant thought in your mind. Now we come to the second essential component. You must believe in yourself. And I can hear some of you saying, "But Napoleon, that's exactly my problem. I don't believe in myself. I've failed before. I've tried and quit. I don't have the talents of other people. I'm not special." Stop right there. That is not reality speaking. That is conditioning. That is the accumulated weight of other people's opinions, of past disappointments, of a society that often prefers you remain small and manageable. But it is not truth. Here is truth. You are the possessor of the most powerful success mechanism ever created. It is your mind. Your human brain, properly directed, can solve any problem, overcome any obstacle, achieve any goal that is physically possible in this universe. This is not motivational rhetoric. This is established fact, demonstrated by thousands of men and women who have risen from nothing to accomplish the extraordinary. Thomas Edison had 3 months of formal schooling. His teacher said he was addled. Henry Ford went broke 5 times before finally succeeding. Abraham Lincoln failed in business, failed in law, failed in his bid for the legislature, failed repeatedly, yet became one of the greatest presidents in American history. What did these men possess that you do not? Nothing, except perhaps one thing: applied faith in themselves. Let me give you the specific methodology for building unshakable self-belief. First, understand that self-belief is not innate. It is developed through evidence. You create evidence through small victories. Right now, today, set for yourself a small goal that you can accomplish within 24 hours. Perhaps it is to exercise for 20 minutes, to read 10 pages of an educational book, to make 5 sales calls, to organize your workspace. The specific goal matters less than this. Make it definite, make it achievable, and then do it, no matter what. When you accomplish this small goal, you have created evidence. Your subconscious mind records it. I set a goal. I followed through. I am a person who does what I say I will do. This evidence accumulates. Each small victory strengthens the mental muscle of self-belief. Do this every single day. Set a small, definite goal. Achieve it. Record it in a success journal. Write, "Today I said I would do X, and I did it." Over 30 days, you will have 30 pieces of evidence that you are a person of action, a person of integrity with yourself, a person who can be trusted to follow through. This evidence will begin to outweigh the accumulated failures of your past. Your self-concept will shift. You will become, in your own mind, a person who achieves goals. And once that shift occurs, once you believe you are that person, you will begin to act in harmony with that belief, and your external results will transform. Second, you must ruthlessly guard the gateways to your mind. Your self-belief is a tender plant in its early stages. It can be crushed by the frost of criticism, choked by the weeds of negative association. If there are people in your life who consistently belittle your goals, who mock your ambitions, who tell you that you cannot succeed, you must distance yourself from them. I don't care if they are relatives. I don't care if they are longtime friends. You are not being disloyal. You are being true to your destiny. Visit them less. Share your goals with them not at all. Seek instead the company of people who believe in you, or at least believe in the principles of success. Read books by and about successful people. Fill your mind with stories of achievement. When you read that Andrew Carnegie came to America with nothing and built an empire, when you learn that Helen Keller overcame blindness and deafness to inspire millions, when you study how ordinary men and women applied these principles and achieved extraordinary results, your subconscious mind accepts this evidence. If they can do it, so can I. Third, you must act the part of the person you are becoming. This is one of the great secrets of applied faith. You do not wait until you feel confident to act confidently. You act confidently, and the feeling of confidence follows. You do not wait until you believe in yourself to behave as a successful person behaves. You behave as a successful person behaves, and belief in yourself develops as a natural consequence. How does a successful person in your field dress? Dress that way now. How does a confident person walk, speak, carry themselves? Walk, speak, and carry yourself that way now. How does a person who has achieved your goal organize their day, manage their time, handle setbacks? Organize your day, manage your time, and handle setbacks that way now. You see, my friend, your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you act as if you are already the person you intend to become, your subconscious accepts this as reality and begins to make it true. Your self-belief becomes self-fulfilling. Let me tell you about a young attorney named Frank. Frank had passed the bar examination but was terrified of speaking in court. His lack of self-belief was paralyzing him. I asked him, "Frank, if you were one of the great trial attorneys you admire, how would you prepare for court?" He described a meticulous process. I said, "Do that." I asked, "How would that attorney dress? How would he walk into the courtroom?" Frank described it. I said, "Do that." For 30 days, Frank acted the part. He prepared like the great attorney. He dressed like the great attorney. He walked into courtrooms like the great attorney, even when his knees shook beneath his robes. And you know what happened? His subconscious mind began to accept the role. His belief in himself grew. His actual performance improved because he was no longer fighting the battle of self-doubt while simultaneously trying to practice law. Within a year, Frank had built a thriving practice. The formula is simple. Act as if you already are the person you are determined to become, and you will become that person. This is applied faith directed inward. You believe in your capacity. You act on that belief. Reality conforms. And now we come to the heart of applied faith, the principle that separates the dreamers from the achievers, the talkers from the doers, the successful from the struggling. You must take action as if failure is not even a possibility. Notice I did not say, take action hoping you won't fail, or take action while being prepared for failure. No, you must act with the absolute conviction that what you are doing will succeed. Not might succeed, not could succeed, will succeed. Now, some of you are thinking, but Napoleon, that's not realistic. That's not practical. What if I do fail? Shouldn't I have a backup plan? Let me answer that question with absolute clarity. Yes, you might fail in a particular attempt. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before successfully inventing the electric light bulb. But Edison himself never felt he had failed. He had simply discovered 10,000 ways that didn't work, and each discovery brought him closer to the way that did. When I tell you to act as if you cannot fail, I am not telling you to be oblivious to setbacks or to avoid learning from mistakes. I am telling you something far more important. You must remove the option of ultimate failure from your mental universe. Most men and women tiptoe through life with one foot perpetually hovering over the exit door marked, "Quit." At the first sign of difficulty, at the first serious obstacle, at the first painful setback, they flee through that door back into the comfort of their limitations, saying, "Well, I tried. It just wasn't meant to be." But the man or woman with applied faith has burned the bridges behind them. There is no exit door. There is no plan B. There is only the goal and the unwavering commitment to reach it, regardless of how long it takes or how many times they must rise from temporary defeat. Let me give you the specific formula for action as if you cannot fail. First, every single day, you must take at least one concrete action toward your goal. Not think about it, not plan it, not prepare for it. Do it. If your goal is to start a business, then today you make one phone call to a potential client. Today you research one competitor. Today you write one paragraph of your business plan. If your goal is to lose weight, then today you walk for 20 minutes. Today you prepare one healthy meal. Today you drink 8 glasses of water. The size of the action matters less than the consistency. What you are doing is training your mind that this goal is not optional, not a hobby, not something you'll get to when you feel like it. It is a law in your life, as certain as the rising of the sun. Every single day, without exception, you take action. Why is this so critical? Because action is the language your subconscious mind understands best. You can affirm all day long that you believe in your goal, but if your actions contradict your words, your subconscious dismisses the words as lies. However, when you take daily action, even small action, toward your goal, your subconscious says, "This is real. This is important. This is who we are." And it begins to mobilize all of your faculties, your creativity, your energy, your intuition, your opportunities, toward the achievement of that goal. Second, when obstacles arise, and they will arise, my friend, they always do, you must view them not as evidence that you should quit, but as tests of your commitment. Here is a truth that will save you years of frustration. Every worthy goal attracts obstacles in proportion to its importance. If your goal is trivial, you will face few obstacles. If your goal is extraordinary, if it will transform your life and perhaps the lives of others, you will face extraordinary obstacles. This is not punishment. This is not the universe telling you to give up. This is the universe asking you, how badly do you want this? Are you serious? Or are you just playing? The man with applied faith recognizes obstacles as opportunities. Opportunities to prove his commitment, to grow stronger, to become the person capable of maintaining the success he seeks. When the obstacle appears, he does not ask, "Should I continue?" He asks, "How do I get past this?" Or more accurately, "How do I use this?" Consider the story of Asa Candler and Coca-Cola. Candler bought the formula for Coca-Cola for $2,300 from a pharmacist. He believed this beverage would become popular throughout the South. He began manufacturing and selling it, and initially, sales were disappointing. Most businessmen would have called it a failed investment and moved on, but Candler had applied faith. He believed with unshakable conviction that Coca-Cola would succeed. So when sales were poor, he didn't question his goal. He questioned his method. He tried new approaches. He gave away thousands of free drink coupons. He invested in advertising when conventional wisdom said he should cut costs. He persisted through problems with bottlers, with competitors, with slow market acceptance. Because he acted as if failure was not possible, because he kept taking action no matter what obstacles arose, Coca-Cola eventually became one of the most valuable brands in the world. Candler became fabulously wealthy, not because he was lucky, not because his product was so superior that it couldn't fail, but because his applied faith was so superior that he wouldn't fail. Third, you must develop what I call going the extra mile consciousness. This means you do more than is expected, more than is required, more than you are paid to do. Why? Because the man who does only what he is paid to do will never be paid for more than he does. He will remain average, adequately compensated, easily replaceable. But the man who consistently delivers more value than he receives in payment sets into motion a law of compensation that must, absolutely must, eventually reward him. When you act as if you cannot fail, you do not hold back. You do not give partial effort. You do not say, "I'll give my best when they pay me more." No, you give your best now, at your current job, with your current clients, in your current circumstances. You give so much value that the universe itself becomes your debtor, and the universe always pays its debts. This consciousness, this way of acting, does something profound to your character. It eliminates the employee mentality and installs the ownership mentality. Whether you are currently employed by someone else or self-employed, you begin to think and act like an owner. You take initiative. You solve problems without being asked. You look for ways to improve, to add value, to excel. And when you operate this way consistently, opportunities appear as if by magic. Promotions come. Business propositions materialize. The right people enter your life at the right time. Why? Because your actions have declared to the world, "I am a person of value. I am a person who delivers. I am a person who cannot be stopped." And the world, which is always looking for people of genuine value, responds accordingly. Now, my friend, we must address a critical question. Why does this work? What is the mechanism by which applied faith translates into physical reality? The answer lies in understanding the nature of your subconscious mind. You have two minds. The conscious mind, the part of you that is listening to these words right now, is logical, analytical, capable of reasoning, but it controls very little of your actual behavior. The conscious mind is like the captain of a ship, standing on the bridge, issuing orders. The subconscious mind is the engine room. It is the vast reservoir of power that actually drives the ship. It controls your habits, your automatic responses, your intuition, your creativity. It never sleeps. It is always working, always processing, always influencing your behavior. Here is the crucial point. Your subconscious mind accepts as reality whatever thoughts you feed it most consistently and most emotionally. It does not question. It does not analyze. It simply accepts and acts upon whatever instructions it receives from the conscious mind. If you consistently think thoughts of doubt, of fear, of limitation, your subconscious accepts these as instructions and proceeds to make them real in your experience. You will accidentally sabotage your own efforts. You will happen to associate with the wrong people. Opportunities will, somehow, slip through your fingers. But, and this is the glorious truth, if you consistently think thoughts of faith, of expectation, of achievement, your subconscious accepts these as instructions and proceeds to make them real. You will intuitively know the right action to take. You will accidentally meet the right people. Opportunities will, coincidentally, appear just when you need them. This is why applied faith works. This is the science behind it. When you read your definite goal aloud twice daily with emotional intensity, when you act as if your goal is already achieved, when you take daily action as if failure is impossible, you are programming your subconscious mind. You are installing new instructions. You are becoming, at the deepest level of your being, a person whose success is inevitable. But here is what you must understand. This programming requires repetition. One reading of your goal will not do it. One day of action will not do it. Even 1 week or 1 month may not be sufficient to overcome years of contrary programming. You must persist. You must repeat these exercises daily for months, even years if necessary, until applied faith becomes not something you do, but something you are. Until belief in your goal is as natural as breathing. Until confidence in yourself is as automatic as your heartbeat. Until taking action toward your success is as habitual as brushing your teeth. This daily practice is your non-negotiable commitment. Morning and night, you read your goals. Every single day, you take action. Every obstacle you encounter, you use as fuel for your faith rather than as an excuse for your fear. And gradually, almost imperceptibly at first, you will notice changes. You will find yourself thinking differently, reacting differently, seeing opportunities where you once saw obstacles, feeling energized where you once felt defeated, taking initiative where you once hesitated. Others will begin to notice. They will comment that you seem different, more confident, more focused, more alive. Some will be inspired. Some will be threatened. It does not matter. You are no longer living by the opinions of others. You are living by the law of applied faith. And then, often when you least expect it, the goal that once seemed impossible will manifest. The business will succeed. The promotion will come. The achievement will be realized. And you will look back and understand that it was inevitable. Not because the universe owed you anything, but because you had invoked a law as reliable as the law of gravity, the law of applied faith. My friend, do you remember the question I posed to you at the beginning? I asked you to consider 2 versions of your future. One where you remain as you are. One where you become transformed. You now hold the key to determine which future will be yours. You understand applied faith, not as a theory, not as an interesting concept, but as a practical, step-by-step formula for achievement. You know that you must believe in your goal with such clarity and emotional intensity that it dominates your thoughts. You know that you must write it down, read it aloud twice daily, and emotionalize it until your subconscious mind accepts it as reality. You know that you must believe in yourself by creating evidence through daily small victories, by guarding your mind against negative influences, and by acting the part of the person you are becoming. You know that you must take action as if failure is not possible. Daily action, without exception, viewing obstacles as tests rather than stop signs, and consistently going the extra mile. Now comes the moment of truth. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when circumstances are more favorable. Now, I want you to pause this audio. Yes, right now. Get a pen and paper. If you don't have them nearby, go get them. I'll wait. Now write at the top of the page, my definite major purpose. Below that, complete this sentence. By specific date, I will have exact description of your goal. Don't overthink it. If you're not sure of every detail, write what you know. You can refine it, but write something. Make it specific. Make it measurable. Make it yours. Below that, write, I will achieve this because, and list at least 5 compelling reasons why you must achieve this goal. What will it mean for you? For your family? For your legacy? This is your first act of applied faith. You are declaring to the universe, this is what I intend. This is who I am becoming. This is non-negotiable. Tomorrow morning, before you do anything else, read what you have written aloud. Read it with feeling. See yourself already in possession of your goal. Feel the emotions of achievement. Then, before you sleep tomorrow night, read it again. And every single day, without exception, take at least one concrete action toward that goal. 1 phone call, 1 page written, 1 mile walked, 1 chapter read, 1 conversation initiated. The action need not be large, but it must be definite, and it must happen every single day. You are not merely setting a goal. You are activating a law. You are setting into motion forces that absolutely must, bring about the physical realization of what you have clearly and definitely conceived in your mind. Will there be obstacles? Yes. Will there be days when you doubt? Perhaps. Will others question your sanity? Probably. But you will persist, because you now understand that applied faith is not something you need when things are easy. It is something you summon when things are hard. It is the fuel that propels you through the valley to reach the mountaintop. 500 of America's most successful men and women have proven this formula. They came from every background imaginable: poverty and wealth, education and illiteracy, health and disability. But they all applied these principles, and they all succeeded. You are no different. You possess the same mind, the same access to these laws, the same opportunity to transform your life through applied faith. The question is not whether this will work. The question is whether you will work it, whether you will commit, whether you will persist, whether you will become the person capable of achieving the goal you have set. I believe you will. I have such unshakable faith in the power of these principles that I have dedicated my entire life to teaching them. And I have such confidence in your ability to apply them that I speak to you not as a student who might fail, but as a future success story who simply hasn't arrived yet. Now hear these words, and let them sink deep into your consciousness. Let them become the foundation upon which you build your new life. These are not my words alone. They are the distilled essence of universal law. Reading the quote slowly, with dramatic pauses and emphasis. Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with thought, my friend, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence. This is the formula. This is the secret. This is the law. You now possess knowledge that most people will never encounter. You hold in your hands, or rather in your mind, the formula that has created every fortune, built every empire, achieved every seemingly impossible goal in human history. Will you use it? Will you apply it? Will you become living proof that applied faith transforms ordinary men and women into extraordinary achievers? The The choice is yours. The power is yours. The future is yours. Now go forth and claim it. This is Napoleon Hill, and I have given you the law. May you apply it with courage, persist with determination, and achieve with certainty. Your success is inevitable if you apply faith.